What's up, y'all? Welcome back to Surfing the Stream. My name is Matt, and I am here to continue my journey through the Evil Dead franchise as I am working my way towards Evil Dead Burn, which comes out next month. And this time, we're talking about Evil Dead 2 that came out in 1987. This is the follow up to The Evil Dead. After surviving the horrific events at the cabin in the woods, Ash Williams returns with his girlfriend Linda for a romantic getaway of sorts that quickly turns into another nightmare when the ancient Necronomicon unleashes demonic forces once again. Trapped and isolated, Ash must fight for his sanity and his life as the evil presence torments him physically and psychologically. Now, this is the movie that many fans consider the definitive Evil Dead experience. For a lot of people, this is where Sam Raimi perfected the formula that he started in The Evil Dead. And honestly, I get it. I see why this movie is so popular among horror fans, why it is one of the all time great horror classics. But I also have to be upfront and say that this movie is just not made for me. Evil Dead 2 fully embraces comedy in a way that the original didn't really do. Now, don't get me wrong, sometimes the comedy and the camp and the cheese just absolutely works in this movie. It had a couple of moments where I genuinely laughed out loud. The best comedic moments are those unexpected ones, the moments where the movie catches you off guard with just how ridiculous it's willing to be. And it's mostly in just how ridiculous like some of the kills and gore is for me personally. But there were plenty of times where it just went too far for my taste. The stop motion effects just added too much to the silliness. The sequence where Ash cuts off his possessed hand feels like something out of like a live action cartoon. Like when his hand gets cut off and starts running around the cabin, and it looks like the thing from the Addams Family, and it eventually gets caught in a mousetrap. Look, I get it. I know people love that stuff. For me, it's just a little too goofy. It's just not what I go to horror movies for. Now, granted, that's what this movie is. That's what it's leaning into it. I knew that going into this entire franchise, this entire series. So it's not like I'm disappointed or I was caught off guard by how much cheese and camp is included in this movie. It's just after watching it, I see why people love it, but personally is not for me. Because instead of adding to the horror, the comedy just pulls me out of it every single time. And that just really sums up my entire experience with Evil Dead 2. It's less interested in scaring you and more interested in making you laugh while grossing you out. Now, to jump into some of the more specific things about this particular movie, one thing that I do love is Sam Raimi's direction of the entire movie. It is definitely better in just about every aspect over the original movie. The iconic demon POV shots are back and they're even better this time around. Those shots are more organic and dynamic, so to speak. So instead of simply flying through the woods, Sam Raimi turns them into full-blown chase sequences. The scene with Ash driving through the forest while the evil force tears through the trees behind him is really, really great. It's creative, energetic, and it still holds up today, I think. The cinematography and direction, like I said, throughout the entire movie, just a massive step up from the original movie. The camera is constantly moving, the shots are more ambitious, the visual effects are bigger and well, more of them because they have more money this time around. Everything feels more polished while still maintaining that chaotic Evil Dead energy. So don't get me wrong, this movie looks better, it looks more expensive, like they definitely had more in the budget, but it doesn't lose that charm. It doesn't lose the feel and vibes of the Evil Dead movies. And as far as performances go, Bruce Campbell absolutely understands the assignment. His physical comedy is impressive, even if it's not always my style of comedy. There are moments where he genuinely gives off those Jim Carrey vibes, especially during the scenes where Ash is fighting with himself and slowly descending into the madness. Bruce Campbell is 1000% committed to this movie. Like, you will never be able to convince me that he was not invested into the movie and giving his all, because he's over the top, he's energetic, and clearly having a blast while making the movie. Unfortunately, I can't say the same for the rest of the cast. The acting across the board is incredibly exaggerated, and at times it borders on being just outright bad. It reminds me genuinely of some of the Friday the 13th movies where the acting is so damn terrible. I get it. You're there to really see them just die in horrific ways. We don't really give a shit about any of these actual characters, except Ash. But my point being is, they're not really anything to write home about. I couldn't tell you a single name of these characters off the top of my head, and I couldn't tell you any of their personalities either. They're pretty one dimensional characters that they're just there to get, like I said, killed in horrific ways. But honestly, I don't even know if that's a criticism, because I think that's exactly what Sam Raimi was going for. Everyone feels like they're operating in this heightened reality where subtlety doesn't exist. So one aspect of the movie that I genuinely do love is Ash's mental deterioration. Now, I will say this, it does borderline too close to being silly at times, but the idea that the demons aren't just trying to kill him, they're trying to break him psychologically is really effective a majority of the time. The scene where his reflection starts talking to him through the mirror is absolutely fantastic. Then that reflection starts choking him, only for Ash to realize he's choking himself. That's the kind of horror comedy that works for me in this movie. It's creepy, unsettling, and absurd all at the same time. Those moments where you can't tell if Ash is losing his mind or if the demons are genuinely manipulating reality are some of the strongest parts of the entire film. Overall, I can absolutely acknowledge that Evil Dead 2 is an improvement over the original in almost every technical category. The direction, the cinematography, the effects, all bigger and better. Bruce Campbell's performance is more memorable here. Objectively speaking, I understand why so many fans consider this the best movie in the franchise. But personally, I think the pendulum swings too far toward camp and comedy. I love the small amount of camp in the original Evil Dead movie because it enhanced the horror to me. Here, the comedy often overshadows it, and because comedy and horror just isn't something that I typically enjoy, this movie never fully clicks for me. I respect it. Don't get me wrong. I respect this movie 100%. And if you tell me this is the best Evil Dead film in the entire franchise, or this is one of the best horror movies of all time, I'm not going to argue with you because I can see those aspects. I can see why people would say that about this movie. It's just personally not a movie that was made for me. Just things here aren't what I go to horror movies to see. So I appreciate what it accomplished, and I completely understand why it's considered a classic. It's just not one that I see myself revisiting very often. But y'all let me know down in the comments below what you think about Evil Dead 2. What am I missing? What do I need to grasp my head around with this movie to make it one of my most loved horror movies of all time? Let me know down below what you love about it, what you don't like about it. And as always, if you enjoyed this review, please like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below. And I will see y'all next time as I continue my Evil Dead series. Laters.